My wife just passed away. My father told me to marry another woman just like he did. This started a war between us. I'm a 26-year-old male who lost my wife. She was only 25. Annie and I had two kids who were barely 18 months and 4 years old at the time, almost the exact age I was when I lost my mom. The parallel was chilling, and it forced me to confront the full circle my life had taken. I was only 5 when my mom passed away. It's one of those memories that isn't just a single moment. It's like a shadow that stretched long over my childhood. Growing up, everything seemed a bit grayer, a bit more muted without her. The house was quieter, and Dad was always busy trying to fill the void her absence left in every corner of our life. He did his best, but you could tell he was just as lost in grief as I was, even though he tried to hide it behind long hours at work and forced smiles at dinner. I remember feeling perpetually confused. Why my mom? Our family friends would talk about their moms, their plans for Mother's Day, and it felt like living in a world where everyone else had something precious that I had lost. Birthdays and holidays were the hardest. Dad tried, he really did. But there's a particular kind of emptiness that comes from missing a person. As I grew older, that confusion turned into a deep-seated fear of loss, clinging too tightly to relationships or shying away from them entirely to avoid potential heartbreak. It wasn't until much later in my adult relationships that I began to understand the depth of my fear. Therapy helped. Talking about her, about the memories and the pain, made it more bearable. Losing mom so young fundamentally shaped who I am. It made me more empathetic towards others' pain, more aware of the fragility of life. Back then, the world seemed suddenly bigger and more intimidating without my mom. Even though I was too young to comprehend all the ways her passing would impact me, I felt her absence in every part of my daily life. There was an emptiness at home, a silence that wasn't just about the lack of her voice, but about the missing layer of love and security she represented. Annie always had this vivid memory of her dad, how he'd lift her high above his head and make her feel like she could touch the clouds. She was just 6 when he was taken from her, swept away by a sudden illness that none of us were ready to face. That loss carved a deep, aching void in her life, one that shaped her in ways. She grew up determined to be the pillar her dad couldn't be for her, to build a fortress of love for our kids that nothing could penetrate, not even death. But life, as it often does, had other plans. It was a crisp fall morning, much like any other, except Annie wasn't feeling well. We thought little of it, at first a passing bug, we hoped. But it turned out to be much more serious. Within months we were grappling with a reality that mirrored her deepest fears. Annie was diagnosed with a terminal illness, the kind that sneaks up silently but quickly overwhelms. In those final months, Annie's resolve to make lasting memories with our kids became everything. Every day, despite her waning strength, she'd spend time with them, reading stories, playing games, or just holding them close, embedding her presence in their lives in ways she hoped would be indelible. She often spoke to me late at night, her voice a mixture of determination and despair, about her need to leave a legacy of love for them to be there in their hearts and minds even when she could no longer be there in person. She wanted so desperately to break the cycle of loss that had shadowed her childhood, to give our kids the stable, loving foundation she had lost so early on. Her biggest fear was repeating history, leaving our kids with the same hollow memories and unanswerable questions. Watching Annie with our children, I saw the lengths she went to imprint her love on their young lives. She would record videos for them, leave little notes in unexpected places, and create traditions that her creativity in weaving these threads of connection was both inspiring and heart-wrenching. When she passed, the loss was monumental, echoing the emptiness of her own childhood, but also filled with the richness of the love she had poured into every moment with them. Annie had always had a clear vision of her own funeral. Unusual as that might sound, it was something we'd talked about occasionally, those strange, somber discussions that unexpectedly pop up and linger between a couple. She wanted it to be more a celebration of her life than a mourning of her death. "Don't make it all doom and gloom," she'd say, half joking but serious about the essence of her wishes. "Make it a day where everyone can remember the happy times with lots of flowers, and maybe even some fireworks." When it happened I was plunged into a deep grief that was hard to navigate, filled with the pain of loss but also the duty to honor her final wishes. The day of her funeral arrived on a bright and clear morning, which felt almost offensive in the context of our loss, yet fitting for the type of farewell she had envisioned. The service was held at our local church, a place she had chosen not just for its spiritual significance, but also for its beautiful stained glass windows and the way the sunlight danced through them in the mornings. It was here, under the vivid colors cast by the morning light, that friends and family gathered not in black, but in bright colors, as she had requested. Flowers adorned every surface, wild flowers her favorite, in vibrant hues of blues, yellows, and reds, creating a tapestry of color that transformed the usually somber space into one that was alive with remembrance and love. The air was filled with her favorite music, a mix of classic rock and folk tunes, songs that had soundtracked our life together. Each melody stirred memories, bringing smiles even through the tears. After the service, we moved to a nearby park, another place Annie loved. It was here that the atmosphere lightened, as people shared their stories about Annie, her quirks, her laugh, her boundless energy. It felt like she was there with us in the laughter and the shared memories. As the sun began to set, we prepared for the final act of the day, the fireworks. It was an unconventional choice, but it was exactly what she had wanted. As the first rocket shot into the sky, bursting into a cascade of color, it felt like a release, a letting go of some of the sorrow, and a celebration of a spirit too vibrant to ever be really gone. Each explosion of life was a reminder of her vibrant life, a punctuating finale that she would have loved. Now, as I watch our children grow, I see Annie's influence in their resilience, their laughter, and even in their tears. They talk about her often, recalling moments I didn't even realize they remembered. It's clear that while death took Annie away too soon, her efforts to be a present, loving force in their lives didn't go in vain. She lives on through them, through the stories we share and the love we keep alive. As their father, my role has evolved to not just nurturing them, but also preserving the essence of what Annie wanted. Now, as I watch my own children, I see that same confusion and loss reflected in their eyes. They look for Annie in simple moments when they accomplish something small, like tying their shoelaces, or when they need comfort after a bad dream. I know those feelings, I live them. It's a reminder of how deeply a child feels the absence of a parent, often in ways they can't fully express. This shared experience has deepened my empathy and understanding of my children's emotions. I often find myself navigating their grief while managing my own, trying to be the rock that they can lean on. It's not just about providing for them materially, but ensuring they feel safe and love, that they have space to miss their mom without feeling like they need to hide their grief. Their journey through loss has also reshaped my approach to parenting. I'm more patient, more attuned to the unspoken parts of their sadness, and more proactive in addressing our emotional health as a family. We talk about Annie often, keeping her memory alive not as a shadow that hangs over us, but as a light that continues to guide us. I strive to be present in a way I felt my dad struggled to be after my mom died. Seeing my children cope with their loss, I understand the long road ahead of them. I know the challenges they'll face as they grow up without their mom, but I also see their resilience, and it gives me hope. It reminds me that while the pain of loss never fully disappears, it can be woven into the fabric of our lives, making us stronger and more connected to each other. I've promised myself to be there for them, to help them navigate this journey, and to ensure they never doubt they are loved both by their mom. After my mom passed away, the house felt suspended in time, with remnants of her life tucked into every corner. Her clothes still hung in the closet, her books remained on the shelves, and the air carried the gentle hint of her perfume. Losing her meant learning to navigate a world where some things felt irrevocably broken, yet we still had each other. With Annie, I see a chance to redefine that narrative for our children, to create a home filled with love and memories, even in the shadow of loss. Though my dad's well-meaning suggestion to marry again hangs heavily in the air, I can't shake the feeling that it would feel wrong, like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. There's a part of me that wonders if it would betray what Annie and I built together, what she fought so hard to create. I want to be a good father, to nurture our children and to help them grow, but I also want to honor the love that filled our lives for those 2 brief years. Ultimately, grief is a journey, and mine is still unfolding. I know it's not a linear path. Some days are lighter and others feel impossibly heavy. But in the chaos of our emotions, I hope to find a way to keep moving forward, honoring Annie's memory while building a future for our children. I'm still figuring it out, one day at a time, navigating the complex layers of love, loss, and the hope that still lives in our hearts. It's been almost 2 years since Annie passed away, and the journey of grief has taken me through some unexpected valleys and peaks. Each day feels like a new chapter, filled with the small joys of parenthood juxtaposed against the weight of loss that lingers like a shadow over our lives. I often find myself reflecting on how Annie shaped our family, even in her absence, and how I can continue to honor her legacy while navigating the complexities of single parenthood. The kids have grown remarkably in this time. Lily, my 4-year-old, has transformed into a curious, spirited little girl, always asking questions that require me to think on my feet. "Daddy, where did Mommy go?" she asks, her big brown eyes searching mine for answers. I've learned to respond with honesty, albeit carefully crafted. "She's with the stars, sweetheart." Lily nods, satisfied, for now her imagination filling in the blanks. And then there's Ben, my little whirlwind of energy. At 6, he's all arms and legs, a bundle of joy that can shift from laughter to tears in the blink of an eye. He often mimics the silly voices Annie used to make, trying to capture the essence of her warmth in the small moments we share. "Look, Daddy, I'm being silly like Mommy," he shouts, causing a flood of bittersweet emotions to wash over me. It's beautiful to see her spirit in him, but it's a constant reminder of what we've lost. One of the hardest parts of this journey has been the silence in our home, especially during moments I once took for granted. Bedtime has become a ritual that stretches longer than it used to. We snuggle in the dim light of their shared bedroom, the walls decorated with crayon drawings and photos of happier times. I read them stories, weaving in silly voices and exaggerated expressions, doing my best to fill the space that Annie once filled effortlessly. As I tuck them in, I often hear Ben whisper, "I miss Mommy," and my heart breaks a little more each time. I hold his small hand and reassure him, "Me too, buddy, but remember how much she loved us." We've also found ways to keep Annie's memory alive in our daily lives. We celebrate her birthday each year with a small gathering. Friends and family come together to share stories, to laugh, and to cry. It's a bittersweet occasion, filled with love but tinged with sadness. Last year, we created a memory jar where everyone could write down their favorite memories of Annie. We read them aloud, and in those moments I felt her presence wrapping around us as if she were smiling from above. As the seasons changed, so did our routines. The summer was particularly poignant, filled with memories of trips we took as a family to the beach. I decided to carry on one of our traditions. We spent a weekend at the coast, just the 3 of us. Standing on the sandy shore, I watched the kids as they collected seashells, their laughter mingling with the sound of the waves crashing against the rocks. It was a mix of joy and sorrow, each laugh a reminder of Annie's absence. But as they splashed in the water, I felt a warmth in my heart, a sense that she was there with us, enjoying the moment through them. The autumn brought its own challenges. School started for Ben, and with it a new set of worries. I worried about how he would cope without a mom at school events, how other kids might react to his story. But what I discovered surprised me. The other parents were incredibly supportive, and the kids were just kids. They embraced him, and while there were questions about where his mom was, they were often followed by invitations to play and join in. Still, the loneliness crept in at night when the house grew quiet. I found myself scrolling through old photos of Annie, remembering her laugh. I realized that I had been holding on to the grief so tightly, afraid to let it go. It was during one of those long nights that I decided I needed to talk to someone, a friend, a counselor, anyone who could help me untangle the mess of emotions swirling inside me. I reached out to a therapist, someone who specialized in grief. In our sessions, I found a safe space to explore my feelings, the anger, the sadness, and even the moments of joy that felt wrong to have. She encouraged me to find new ways to connect with my children, to embrace the changes instead of resisting them. Grief is not linear, she reminded me. It ebbs and flows just like the tides. Slowly, I began to understand that moving forward didn't mean forgetting Annie. It meant integrating her memory into our lives in a way that honored her spirit while allowing us to heal. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, I surprised the kids with a new family tradition. How about we share one happy memory of Mommy before we eat? I suggested. They looked at me with wide eyes, the idea sparking a conversation that flowed easily like a well-loved story. We laughed about her silly dance moves in the kitchen and how she would sneak extra chocolate chips into their cookies. That night, as we cleared the table, I felt a shift to warmth that enveloped us, like Annie's love wrapping around us, reminding us that it was okay to keep her memory alive while making room for new experiences. As the holidays approached, I braced myself for the inevitable wave of emotions. The decorations went up slowly, each ornament pulling at my heartstrings, memories flooding in. I found myself staring at the empty space, where Annie would have hung her favorite decoration, a handmade wreath from her childhood. I decided to leave it empty as a tribute, a reminder of her absence and the love that would always remain. We decorated the tree together, each child placing their favorite ornaments with care. "Look, Daddy, this one is from the beach," Lily exclaimed, holding up a seashell ornament we'd crafted during our summer trip. I felt a swell of pride, realizing that we were creating our own traditions. On Christmas morning, I awoke to the sound of excitement echoing through the house. The kids bounded down the stairs, their faces lighting up. As we opened presents, I watched their joy unfold, pure and unfiltered. I made a mental note to capture these moments, to hold on to the laughter and love that filled our home. Yet, in the quiet moments, the absence of Annie lingered. I found myself searching for her in the little things, the way the light streamed through the windows, illuminating the room just as she would have loved it. I realized that grief and joy could coexist, that it was possible to laugh and still feel the pang of loss. As the year progressed, I began to explore the idea of dating again, though it felt daunting. The thought of inviting someone new into our lives seemed almost sacrilegious, like trying to replace Annie in a space that she had carved out so beautifully. Yet, I longed for companionship. I cautiously started attending a local support group for widowed parents. It was a diverse group of individuals, each carrying their own stories of loss and resilience. Listening to their experiences gave me a sense of belonging and comfort, a reminder that I wasn't alone on this journey. It also opened my eyes to the possibility of finding love again, albeit in a different form. One evening, after a particularly moving discussion, I struck up a conversation with Sarah, a fellow member who had lost her partner a year before I lost Annie. We connected over our shared experiences, and I found myself laughing for the first time in a long while. We exchanged numbers, and slowly our friendship blossomed into something deeper. As I took those tentative steps into the world of dating, I realized that it didn't diminish my love for Annie. Instead, it honored her memory by allowing me to embrace life fully. Sarah was understanding and patient, and we often shared our stories, finding solace in our shared journey of grief. She was a reminder that while our pasts shaped us, they didn't have to define our future. Through all of this, I learned that grief is not a destination, but a journey, one that is often messy and unpredictable. It's a complex tapestry woven with threads of joy, sorrow, love, and hope. As I navigate this new chapter, I carry Annie's memory with me, finding ways to integrate her spirit into our lives while embracing the future. In the quiet moments, I still hear her laughter and feel her presence, reminding me that love never truly leaves us. Instead, it transforms, creating space for new memories while honoring the ones we've cherished. And as I watch my children grow, I realize that while loss is a part of our story, so is love, one that continues to bloom in the face of adversity, forever connecting us to Annie and the beautiful life we once shared. And so we move forward together, hand in hand, hearts open to the possibilities ahead. Update: as the months turned into a new year, I found myself standing at the intersection of memory and hope. The grief that once felt insurmountable had transformed, settling into a bittersweet acceptance. The kids and I had developed a rhythm in our lives, one that was infused with laughter, love, and an ever-present echo of Annie's spirit. One sunny afternoon, as we played in the backyard, I watched Lily and Ben race, each other on their bicycles, their laughter ringing like music through the air. It struck me how much they had grown, how their joy was a testament to the love we had built together, even in the absence of their mother. I joined them, racing alongside, feeling the warmth of the sun on my back and the cool breeze of freedom around us. That evening, as we settled down for dinner, I decided it was time to share something important with them. "I want to tell you both about someone special I've met." I began, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. "Her name is Sarah, and she understands what it feels like to miss someone we love." The kids listened intently, their eyes wide with curiosity. I continued, explaining how Sarah had lost her partner too, and how we had found comfort in each other's company. "She's kind and funny, just like Mommy," I said, hoping to reassure them. "I'd like to invite her over for dinner sometime. What do you think?" To my surprise, they both beamed. "Can she bring her dog?" Ben asked, bouncing in his seat. Lily nodded enthusiastically, her little hands clapping together. "Yes, I want to show her my drawing of the stars." Their excitement was palpable, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. In that moment, I realized that opening my heart to new relationships didn't diminish our love for Annie. As the days passed, Sarah came into our lives like a gentle breeze, easing the tension that had been building in my heart. Our first dinner together was filled with laughter, shared stories, and the warmth of new connections. The kids instantly took to her, delighting in her playful spirit and the way she engaged them with genuine curiosity. Watching them together, I felt a sense of relief and joy that I hadn't anticipated. Over the following weeks, we settled into a new routine, blending our families in a way that felt both natural and exciting. Sarah introduced her dog, Max, to our household, and he quickly became a source of joy and chaos. He would chase after the kids, their laughter echoing through the house as they played hide and seek with him in the yard. It felt like a new chapter was unfolding, a blend of old and new, of remembrance and hope. One Saturday afternoon, as we took a family outing to the park, I caught sight of a family flying kites. The bright colors danced against the sky, and I felt a surge of emotion. I turned to see Lily and Ben running towards the open field, their faces lit up with delight. I watched as Sarah joined them, her laughter mingling with theirs, and I felt a warmth spread through my heart. It was in that moment that I understood the beauty of resilience. Life had thrown us a curveball, but we had found our way to joy once again. The love we shared with Annie was not erased. It was woven into the fabric of our new experiences, enriching our lives in unexpected ways. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the park, we gathered together for a picnic, our laughter ringing out as we shared stories and snacks. I looked at Sarah, at my children, and I felt a profound sense of gratitude for this new family we were building. In the quiet moments that followed, I reflected on how far we had come. The journey of grief had taught me that while loss would always be a part of our story, it was not the only chapter. We could honor Annie's memory while embracing the love and joy that life still had to offer. As we packed up and headed home hand in hand, I knew that the future was bright. The road ahead was still uncharted, but I felt ready to face it. Together we would carry Annie's love with us, weaving it into the tapestry of our lives, all the while forging new memories and experiences that would enrich our hearts. And so, with hope in our hearts and love guiding us, we stepped boldly into the future, ready to embrace whatever came next. The story of our family was still being written, and I couldn't wait to see how it would unfold.